Medical aid schemes can often be so confusing. There seem to be so many different options available. We've invited Damien McHugh from Momentum Health to come and unpack it all for us. Damien, when one is looking to choose a medical aid scheme, what should one look out for?
But the most important thing is, does it have benefits that meet your needs? Is it affordable? Is it sustainable? I think often some of us can buy a medical scheme and some of them aren't financially stable and they can go, you know, you need them to be able to pay your claims in the future. So that's another important consideration. One which often consumers forget about is how financially stable is the medical scheme as well. So I guess those three things.
But now there seem to be so many different options. There's comprehensive and hospital plans. What are these and what's the difference between all of them?
A hospital plan really just provides cover for you when you're hospitalized, either voluntarily or in emergency. Outside of that, the day-to-day stuff, doctor, dentist, nothing.
Okay.
You get a savings plan, exactly the same as the hospital plan, but now it's got savings added to it. And those savings then help you pay for doctor, dentist, physio, whatever the out-of-hospital stuff is, medicine. Comprehensive says when the savings runs out, there's a bit more cover that we give you. And those generally come at a much higher price. But that cover again just makes the day-to-day bit much bigger. The traditional options, which is the old sort of way of doing medical schemes, gives you set stuff per benefit category. I get 10 visits to the doctor. I get 1,500 rands worth of medicine. I get X for dentistry. When any one of those values runs out, I've got no more cover for that thing. I still might have my GP visits, but I've run out of stuff for medicine. But the disadvantage of those traditional things, whatever I don't use, doesn't carry over. In a savings account environment, if I don't spend the money in my savings account, it carries over to the following year. So my benefit sort of can run 1 year from the other.
And if it happens that for whatever reason I get hospitalized, am I guaranteed that the hospital is going to cover my entire bill for my stay in the hospital?
Again, depends on the hospital plan. Generally, they look to cover everything, but we have something in the medical aid industry which we call the medical aid rate.
Okay.
Doctors can charge above that rate. So if your medical aid option covers everything the doctor charges, it'll cover everything. But some medical aids or some doctors charge above that medical aid rate, and some medical aids have a higher rate at which they pay, at 100%, some at 200, some at 300. So you need to make sure that the option you're buying, the hospital plan you're buying, still can give you the cover that you want. If you want a very expensive hospital plan, you can find them, and they'll cover more in hospital than a cheaper one.
Now, with the medical aid rates, is that information that I would be privy to from the word go? If I'm trying to buy a particular option, are they going to tell me from the beginning, this is what the medical aid rate is and this is what your doctor's going to charge you?
The option you buy, in the benefit that you see, in the brochures that you see, it will tell you what it covers. At 100 or at 200 or at 300, it'll actually tell you. So that you will know. Then you need to understand what the doctor will charge you. And doctors don't have to charge us at 100 or 200. They can charge above that. We often see that. So we try, as the medical aid, to negotiate with certain doctors that if you go to this grouping of doctors, they'll only charge you this, so that you know everything's covered in full if you go to that doctor. What we do at Momentum is when you phone in for your pre-authorization, we will tell you, if you use this doctor, there's a chance that you're not going to get covered. So you'll know that up front.
What about if I come into a medical aid scheme with a chronic condition? Is that covered?
Every single medical aid option, irrelevant of whether it's a hospital plan, savings, whatever, as we've spoken about, has to cover 26, and if you include the diabetes as 2 illnesses, 1 and 2, it's 27 chronic conditions, what we call prescribed minimum benefits, or PMBs. We have to cover those at least.
Okay.
Some options, the more expensive ones, cover more than those 27. So you need to tell me, what chronic condition do I have? If it's one of the 27, you can join any option you like, because every medical aid option has to cover those chronic conditions. If it's outside of those, then you might need to buy a different type of option.
Now finally, Damien, what would your recommendations be for when one is trying to choose an option?
The most important thing in choosing a medical scheme is understand what your needs are, not your friends. Don't go and ask him. You know, it's like saying, when my car breaks down, I'm going to go to the butcher. It makes no sense. Take it to people who understand it. So find what your needs are and then build a plan around yourself that caters for your need.
Well, thank you so much, Damien.
It's a great pleasure.
It's important to understand you and your family's current health situation in order to choose the correct option when looking at medical aid schemes. Get informed and get the best possible medical care for when you'll need it most. When is the right time to join a medical aid? I'm meeting with Damien McHugh from Momentum Health so he can tell us. Damien, thank you so much for joining us. It's great to be chatting to you again. What we wanted to chat to you about today is when is the right time to join a medical aid? Is there a particular age where one should start looking at being a part of a medical aid scheme?
It's always now. People think that I'm bulletproof when I'm younger. I'll only join when I'm late. When I'm older, or when I get sick is the right time to join, and that's the wrong thing to do. You need to join a medical aid scheme as soon as you possibly can. Even if it means you're healthy at that stage, then buy an option which suits you, cheaper option, and as you need the benefits, then upgrade into those options rather than thinking, oh, well, I need something now, let me buy it then. It's the wrong thing. So as young as you can, because otherwise we have some restrictions. One of them is a late joiner penalty. The later you join in your life, we can actually load your premium. So you can get a 5 up to I think it's almost as high as 75% loading on your option premium. So you don't want to join too late in life and you get these massive increases for stuff that you shouldn't have had.
What exactly is a late joiner penalty? How does that work?
It's any age sort of from 35. So once you are 35 years of age and you join a medical scheme, then we can load your premium. And very simply, sort of works in age brackets or age categories. So that every 5 years thereafter, we can add 5%. So if you join at 35 and you haven't been on before, we could load you 5%. Later in your life, we can load as much as 75%. So you got to be cautious about when you join. So a lot of people think, I don't join now, I'm healthy. It's not necessarily the right decision. So join when you're younger, and those, what we call years, are called credible coverage. Any year you've been on a medical scheme from the age of 21, we take off that age. So it becomes, you don't pay those loadings.
And are there any other restrictions perhaps?
No, it's a good point. Actually, there are. We do have, medical schemes do have other restrictions that they can impose, and that's not about age, it's about health. We can't load you if you are sick or whatever, but we can restrict you from having those benefits if you are. So I'll give you an example. We call it general waiting period. Now, that's 3 months from the date you join. We don't provide cover for you unless for what we call PMBs. Then there's also a 12-month restriction or a pre-existing condition exclusion. So if I join a medical scheme, let's say I'm pregnant, they don't have to cover that pregnancy for 12 months. So you need to understand, do any of those apply to you when you join? We can't exclude all of them, but there are those restrictions. So there are 3 of them. Pre-existing condition, I come into a medical scheme with a condition that I have, a late joiner penalty, as I explained just now, and a general waiting period, which can apply cost benefits for 3 months only.
So what if I want to join a medical aid scheme and I come with a condition that's already been diagnosed? What happens then?
Well, the medical scheme can then look at that and say, we're going to exclude this cover and the longest they can do it for is 12 months. Okay, so they have to cover you for everything else, but just not for that condition for 12 months. That's the longest. Now, they don't always apply it, and they don't have to apply it. So you must find out. You submit the form, they will tell you, you tick a box that says, I've got asthma or I've got diabetes or whatever the condition is, and then they'll come back to you and say, we're going to exclude this for 12 months. So you'll know up front, you'll know it before you join, unless it's a PMB. So there's times when we have to provide cover for that as well.
Damien, how do I make sure that I make the best out of my medical aid scheme?
Understand what your needs are. What are your actual needs? Understand the option that you have, how do I maximize those needs? So get the right option for the needs that you have and make sure you change them as time goes on. We often find people I gave a baby, then I stay on the same hospital plan I was always on, but my baby's quite sickly. So make sure as your needs change, you change your option to meet them. I think lastly is also understand what other benefits are around that medical scheme. So whether it's a loyalty program or a wellness program. In Momentum's case, we have a product feature called Health Returns. We pay you money back every month for doing some things. So if you don't do those things, you're not maximizing the value that the medical scheme has. So understand what your needs are, look at what the option has, change your option as your needs change, and then understand what the other benefits are that a medical scheme has. And if you utilize those things well, your medical scheme premium is then not such a grudge purchase.
Great. Once again, thank you so much for joining us. It was great chatting to you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Well, there you have it. The earlier you join a medical aid scheme, the better. But do make sure that you choose the right one for you.
For flexible cover that suits your individual healthcare needs.
After sustaining third-degree burns to more than 80% of her body, Pippie was given a 10% chance of survival. Undergoing 50 operations in 6 months, she pulled through thanks to the support of her family and countless doctors, nurses, and therapists. Despite the escalating medical costs of surgery and therapy, Pippie's mom, Annika, has remained determined to do whatever it takes to help her daughter.
Annika, I see you've got a handsome young man there next to you. Who is that?
This is Arno, he's Pippie's little brother. He's the apple of my eye, the cutest thing in the world.
Now, Arno's only 2 years old. How do you handle having a toddler and Pippie who needs so much attention?
Arno was 5 months old the time of the accident, so he's been spending so much time with my parents looking after him and everything, and he helps a lot and stuff like that. So I don't think I could do it without Arno anymore. It's hard because he's terrible too, and Pippie has her tantrums and everything, but yeah, the two of them does better together than apart.
What is your week like?
A week is Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays. Pippie still goes to Netcare Rehabilitation Hospital where she receives physiotherapy, occupational therapy and speech therapy. That can be anything up to an hour, hour and a half. And then 5 to 6 times a week, Mohammed Makhtar comes to our house. He's a physiotherapist. He does about an hour, hour and a half on Pippie with dry needling and also physiotherapy.
Oh, that's quite a packed schedule you have.
Yeah, we're on the road a lot and we try to see as much people as possible.
So now she's been in therapy for this long. How much longer before it all ends? Or is it something that's going to have to happen for the rest of her life?
We are not sure. I don't think anybody can answer that question anymore because they said she will never talk and she's talking, and they said she will never crawl and she's crawling. So I think we're just all waiting on God's perfect time.
How did you feel every time Pippie reached a milestone?
I wanted to be that bad girl saying I told you so. I had that attitude, but I knew all the thanks had to go to God and everything. So I'm just the proudest mom. I just can't wait to tell everyone what Pippie is doing and how she's doing and how awesome she is. But every morning when Pippie is one of those kitties that goes to bed with a smile on her face and she wakes up with a smile on her face.
And now you've written a book about your journey since Pippie's accident. Why did you decide to do that?
Colleen O'Dear, she's the writer. She actually contacted me in, I think it was June last year. Together, I think it took us 6 months to write this book, getting everything together, getting it printed and stuff like that. And I actually didn't have the time to write down or talk to Colleen, so they gave me a voice recorder where I recorded everything. So it was like talking to a shrink during this. So I relived everything, and it was years of memories I actually hid away. I didn't want to think about everything, so I think I'm healed, if I can say it like that. But it's been an awesome process. There's been a lot of tears, a lot of laughing, and yeah.
Now, what is it that you hope to achieve out of having written this book?
It's just giving hope to everyone. In a situation like with Pippie, there's actually no hope. And by writing this book and putting it out there, I think I want to give hope that there is always something out there. I can't say that there's hope for everyone, if I can say it like that, but there is always something bigger out there. And by writing this book, I want to show emotion that was never there. I want to show pictures that was never seen before. And this book has a lot of all the emotions the doctors felt. They all wrote a letter about how Pippie touched their lives. Reading something like that, it just, it makes you feel so much awesomeness. So I just want to give out that bit of miracle, if I can say it like that.
Accidents are never planned, yet they do happen. Pippie's story serves as an inspirational reminder about the importance of always being prepared, both emotionally and financially.
Being active has never been more rewarding.
You've been up at 4 a.m. to ride every weekend for months. You've sweated buckets, got some scars, and now it's nearly time to put all that training into practice. There's just 1 week left to go before the 94.7 Momentum Cycle Challenge, so now you need to consolidate your training and decide on your race day preparations.
For me, a newcomer to the sport, doing possibly your first Momentum 94.7, The pacing strategy is start conservatively and save energy for later on. There's two reasons for this. One is that as you get tireder, you're going to lose more time towards the end. And secondly, at the Momentum 94.7, there's some nasty hills at the end. And you need to make sure that you've got a little bit of petrol in the tank for those last few hills. Try and aim to get to the race at least 1 hour before your starting time. And that means you've got to take into consideration that at the Momentum 94.7, you might have a 2 or 3 kilometer ride to get there, which is a fantastic warm-up, but it takes a bit of time. The classic training model says if you're peaking for an event the final week, you ride shorter rides. So if you've been doing an hour in the morning, maybe you only want to do half an hour, but you do it a little bit faster, at a little higher intensity than you used to. The other thing is with your nutrition is stick to what's tried and tested. In the final week, don't change anything.
It's a long race, so start your day right and make sure you stay hydrated with fluids and fueled with high-energy snacks throughout the race.
The best way to stay hydrated is to drink small amounts often. If you ever get to that point where you are really thirsty, it's too late and you're going to be in trouble. So start sipping. Even after 10 Ks, you might not feel like you need anything, but start sipping early. Well, water is better than nothing, but certainly a good sports drink is better than water. The best snacks to have on the event are one of the established nutritional brands, and there are many great brands out there. However, some people prefer things like fruit. Of course, often real foods give you better nutrients than some highly processed bar. Fruits, some people like fruitcake, so try and find something that works for you and stick to it.
Training alone is very different from riding with 30,000 other cyclists, so remember to ride safe, pace your own race, and listen to your body as you go.
For me, the most important thing to prepare yourself mentally for the race is to break it down into bite-sized chunks. I'm really bad at riding possibly 94.7 Ks, but you know what, I'm really good over 10 Ks, and I can do 9, 10K bits, and the last 4 Ks is downhill, so I can almost freewheel in. And I just tick those off each time I've done my next 10 Ks, and if I know it's only 10 Ks to my next marker, that's a very doable. And your brain is wired in the way that we're really good with small, achievable goals, but we can be really put off by a big mountain. So don't think of it as 94.7 kilometers, rather break it down. Prior to the event, you want to make sure that your bike is in perfect working condition. The most important part of that is to make sure that your brakes are working and that your brake blocks are not worn out. Of course, you need to make sure that your gears are in perfect working condition, and if they're not, they might need a little bit of adjustment. You need oil on your chain, and then of course you must make sure that your tires are in great condition. You don't want to do all this training, buy all the nutrition, get everything ready, and then have a puncture on the big day. So check that your tire, specifically the back one, is not threadbare. Bike setup is extremely important, and the most important aspect of that is saddle height. If your saddle height is incorrect, you'll be absolutely inefficient. You might end up cramping, and you certainly won't be able to use all the power and fitness that you've developed to get around the course. So to set your saddle height, pedal backwards, stop right at the lowest point, straighten your knee, and your foot should be absolutely parallel to the ground. Then you know that you're sitting in the right height. It's the second largest timed event in the world, so it really is a special event. You don't often get a chance to ride through the streets of Johannesburg, closed down, and it really is a special day. The race is just one part of it. There's the whole build-up to the event, there's the post-race hospitality, so it's about family, it's about a day in Joburg, and of course on a bicycle, which you can't get better than that. Top professional will do just over 2 hours at the Momentum 94.7 Cycle Challenge, and the back markers can take the entire day. I think at the end of the day though, as long as you enjoy your experience, and if you finish the event and you're looking forward to next year's event, then you've done a great job.
Being active has never been more rewarding.
We all know the benefits of exercise. It can help you lose weight, give you better health, better sleep, and it can help you manage stress as well as get rid of toxic stress chemicals. I'm visiting Adventure Bootcamp today to chat to Michelle and Penny to find out how this fun way of exercising is changing women's lives.
As soon as you get back to the line, arms up and down again. Strong movement. Take it into a static lunge, arms straight and twist in over the front leg.
Michelle, what is Adventure Bootcamp?
So Adventure Bootcamp is an outdoor exercise program for women only. It runs for 4 weeks at a time, Monday to Friday for an hour a day. Safe environment to exercise in outdoors, and every day is different. So it's very exciting. You're never going to have the monotony of going to gym. So primarily, obviously, you'll be using your own body weight for exercises. But within that, you also bring a mat and a set of weights to camp. We bring in TheraBands and skipping ropes into the mix, using soccer balls, not only to just kick around and dribble, but also to actually use as resistance. And swap legs, other side.
Penny joined Adventure Bootcamp in desperation after her demanding job and workaholic lifestyle had driven her to a physical and mental burnout.
Well, I was at a low point in my life. I had gone through a major crisis, a loss of job security, and a friend of mine just actually wanted to get me out of the rut and recommended that we try Adventure Bootcamp. And I had a very high-paced international job, traveling sometimes every 9 days. Between countries and events in between. So that had taken a toll on me physically and also taken a toll on me just in terms of my family life, my friends and my support structure.
What kind of symptoms were you experiencing before you actually got to the complete burnout?
Well, total fatigue, mental fatigue, lack of sleep, just insomnia. I used to have sayings like, well, you sleep when you're dead, so just continue. Things like that, which is just completely crazy. Yeah. That's not living. Because, you know, you shut out everything and everyone to do what it is that you've got to do. So the very thing as a mom that I'm trying to provide for my family, but I'm absent from them.
So here we come, and then you join this boot camp, right?
Yeah.
When did you start seeing changes?
At boot camp, the first Friday is assessment day. I couldn't finish a kilometer, and I realized that, you know what, I actually have to, you know, get myself together. So there is like a failure. That's what you first immediately think. But on the last Friday of the month, you also have another assessment.
Okay.
And there was a slight improvement. And it suddenly became, wow, you know, I can do this.
Arms up overhead, turning around again, 40 steps up.
Is there a particular reason why you chose to make it for women only?
Yes, there actually is. We cater for such a wide level of fitness. It's quite a challenge for the trainer to set the level of the workout that everyone is going to pace themselves but still get a great workout and challenge themselves. So if you had to start bringing men into the mix, it would change the whole dynamics and bring a whole new level of competitiveness, which is actually not what we want. We want ladies to be able to come to an environment where they feel safe and that they don't feel intimidated and self-conscious about themselves. So this really works.
And how long have you been in boot camp now?
A year.
So it's been 1 year since you joined it. Now, I'm very interested to hear, what do you think this past year of being in boot camp has done for you on an emotional level?
Well, I've lost a lot of emotional weight. And I think that's, you know, we always want to go in and lose body weight.
Yes.
And don't realize how emotional weight is also important.
I'm actually so glad you said that, because that's very profound. I don't think anybody ever thinks of losing emotional weight.
Absolutely.
That's very
absolutely.
profound.
And through exercise, you learn to, because you've got mental clarity, or you gain mental clarity. It's like a meditation, because it's your moment just in silence. A lot of things around you change because your attitude changes. So I built a fresh new business that is completely out the box that I would not have otherwise. You know, I finally realized that, you know what, I need to be doing things that are soul engaging. I accept I'm an A-type personality. I accept that hard work is something I will always do. But I will now choose, I'll make different choices. I'll make healthy choices. Not just eating healthy choices, but just healthy choices in life. So this is where I start, and actually it's a moment to just get into myself. Before you can serve others, you need to serve you. So this is my moment where I just serve me. And after that, I'm ready to serve the world and do what it is that I'm supposed to do.
Momentum Health, always moving in the right direction.